Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. So many entrepreneurs dream of a business that fuels both financial success and personal fulfillment. But often that journey can get overshadowed by a constant to-do list and the pressure to be everything at once. Reaching profitability, mentally, emotional, and financially feels like a really big goal. We're always putting out one fire here, putting out another fire there, sacrificing sleep for work, sacrificing work for family time, sacrificing family time for work commitments. It's a never-ending cycle, or it feels like that anyway. But it is possible to achieve that balance between the three, and the key lies in building a business that aligns with who you truly are, allowing you to honor your unique strengths and purpose while making every day profitable. And this is where my guest today steps in. International business and life guide Mel McSherry helps inspired but overwhelmed entrepreneurs honor their lives and become the architects of their own success. Mel uses their spiritual gifts as well as their 14 plus years of business building experience to slash entrepreneurs' stress and bring their success to life. Using both human design in partnership with traditional development tools for business, Mel coaches others on how they can connect to what they want, understand how they're designed to create what they want, and implement their strengths and strategies so that every day can be profitable mentally, emotionally, and financially. As an entrepreneur since 2010, Mel has launched 2 successful businesses, become a 2 times published author, spoken almost 200 times all over the US and overseas, and created a true life by design, all while being the primary caregiver to their 13-year-old son who is autistic. And I am so excited to hear Mel's insights, because one of the things that we hear about on the show is that it's that factor of, I want my business to be successful, but this is happening in my life. This is happening in my life. This is how I'm feeling, and this is what I'm seeing. And I just want all of our listeners out there to know that you are not alone. Everybody has something, not just something, multiple things. And it's not things that we want to get rid of. We love our people. We love our family. We love our pets. We love what we do for a job, and we love how we help other people with our business. But it's okay to want a little bit more breathing room for yourself and not have to sacrifice your income and your lifestyle to do it. So I'm so excited, Mel. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm already chomping at the bit to have this chat with you because you've already hit on so many beautiful pressure points, right? That we hear about all the time, that we talk about. And I'm so grateful that we have this space to continue that conversation and adding in, some different perspectives and some different tools.
Oh, me too. And I think we need these sorts of conversations because we tend to jump right into the technical how-to of growing a business. And the
Oh,
first
Lord,
thing we
yeah.
do is, we just sacrifice everything personal goes to the side. And I don't know about you,
Hmm.
but my first business, because my very first business, it's called Beautifully Organized. It still runs now, but it's all online and like automated. But the first 6 months, I was actually organizing other mums' houses in person so that
Mm.
their days would flow easier with young children, right? That was the whole goal of the
Yeah.
business. 2, 3 months into it, I was fully burnt out because I had 2 toddlers at home. I was working longer hours than ever before. I was seeing less of them than ever before. And I was like, it's so
Yeah.
ironic that I'm fixing up things for other mums so that their day is easier, but I'm slogging it out in my own life. So what you do
Yeah.
really appeals to me in terms of human design, and I think people are going to love it.
Well, thank you. And yeah, it is that interesting perspective, or just that interesting experience, right? Because where, to your point earlier, like, we're just taught to do things, like we're taught for this funnel and we need to do this and we should do this. And a part of that, at least in part of my story, is that you have to show your lifestyle. So I even felt horrible for when I did burn out, to share that burnout, because I thought, oh my God, my clients aren't going to want to work with me. I'm not maintaining this, ideal thing of success, and so on and so forth. And so it is those little things that we feel we don't have the right to share because it's damaging, or we feel almost ashamed because we're like, well, this why is this happening to me? Everybody else seems to be doing so well. Well, spoiler alert. That's That's just social media. We don't know what's going on underneath. It's like you see ducks on the pond, like they're
Yeah,
gliding along, but
I've
underneath
seen
their
them.
little feet are just going haywire.
Yeah.
And it is that of like when you do get overwhelmed with all of that instant information as soon as you announce that you're an entrepreneur, it's easy to never take that step to the side and go, to your point, what do I want? Why does this feel icky? And that's how human design has really just supported me as I've been utilizing it, especially in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think, well, for those who haven't heard of human design yet, do you wanna give us, like, a little brief kind of intro to what it is and how it works and how it benefits people?
Absolutely. So human design is not a formula, but it's a oh, I can't think of words.
Like,
Give me a second.
process or
A
yeah,
process. Thank
yeah.
you. See? So, human design is a process and it's a combination of five different things. So, it's a combination of astrology, Kabbalah, I Ching, chakras, and quantum physics. And what those five pieces of information show you is what we call your energetic blueprints. Human design is also coined the science of differentiation. It shows you how much energy you have, where you get your energy from, how you receive your information and how you should process it, as well as your best practices for making the most profitable decisions for you. And I know that you mentioned this earlier, but I want to restate it that whenever I say profitability, it is always threefold: mentally, emotionally, and financially.
Yeah.
And so, what it does is it gives you your personalized operations manual so you can get the validation and confirmation, honestly, of what you already know to be true. I think that is the most shocking part to
Mhm.
people is that they think when they book readings with me, they're going to get this whole shock and on. I didn't know that. And what do you mean? But a lot of it is deep breaths and rested shoulders going, oh, thank you.
Validating.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah. It is all about validation, confirmation, and awareness because that is how you make your shifts for yourself without the overwhelm of all the shoulds, right? We get the shoulds a lot and we should all over ourselves. It's changing those buts to ands instead of I have this but. It's I want to do this and, right?
Mm,
So it's finding how you move through this journey, you yourself, and what are your best practices, your strategies, your starting points, your stopping points that will allow you to create a very sustainable journey because
mm,
this is more than milestones, right? That's why I talk a lot about how profitability for me is threefold because I got sucked into it when I initially went into the business coaching industry. I had already been an entrepreneur for about 5, 6 years, but I was in the fitness industry. And
mhm.
when I moved over into business coaching, I instantly got caught up in the milestones. Like, you got to get to your first 10K a month. You got to,
Yeah.
numbers, 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 initiate, follow through, follow through, follow through. And I copied and pasted like the good student that I am. And on paper, I did really well. I mean, reading my profile is like, okay, like why would they need to change anything else? Well,
Yeah.
because that on paper was all that it was. Internally, it was a constant tug of war of this is what I know to be true, but I don't have the words to advocate for myself. So instead, I'm just going to take what my mentor told me and just do it, even if it feels icky.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just felt completely disconnected to my business. I didn't feel like I knew myself. I felt like I was a fraud. And this is deeper than imposter syndrome. This is full on who am I and what is this creating for me?
Yeah.
And as I was journeying through that, that's when human design presented itself to me in 2020. Funny. Um,
Yeah.
and I had my first reading and I sobbed because I could see me, that person could see me, and all of a sudden I had the vernacular. I
Mhm.
had the words. I always say I now had the why behind my how. And
Mm.
we're not taught to seek that out. We're taught to look for the whys. Love that. Simon Sinek, thank you.
Mhm.
But we are never taught on how to figure out what are our best practices. We are just thrusted into all these things we should do.
Yeah.
And therefore, we start getting overwhelmed. So, how human design helps you maneuver through all that is it gives you that foundational information. to where you then can take that advice, that funnel, that system, that process and go, ooh, yes, these parts, perfect. The rest, thank you. Or nobody, nope, nope, nope. Bless
Yeah.
and release. Let's keep moving on. And not only that, but even inside of those up and down moments that we all have, it shows you how to move through those and continue to stay mentally and emotionally profitable because that's what contains the sustainability to maintain those financial goals. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you have true ownership of your business because you have true trust in yourself and therefore confidence in the process, as well as a beautiful tool that gives you the insights when you do get stuck or when you do hit that next level to go, oh, yep, this is how I move through this. And all of a sudden it just becomes one really fluid, profitable movement.
Yeah. It's such a powerful thing too, I think, because we think our business is just about serving our ideal clients. So we get to know our ideal clients so well, but we haven't gotten to know
Mhm.
ourselves as well as we've gotten to know that dream client. And once we do
Yeah.
that, my first experience with human design was this year. And I had no idea I was a projector. I had no idea that I was somebody who loved to guide and give ideas, but
Mhm.
despised doing the actual work behind it. Not in a bad way, but like I love to talk and consult and share ideas and
Yeah.
strategies. But then when my clients say, "Oh, that's so good. Can you do it for me?" I'd go, can't somebody
Mm.
else? Like, and that's when I ended up,
Yeah.
I had to bring people on and be like, okay, you guys do the doing. I just want to do the sharing and the guiding and the talking to them.
Yeah.
Or like, I like to work in little like creative bursts, right? And then I need
Yep.
rest in between. And I always thought I was
Yep.
lazy. And then when I had
Yeah.
my human design reading and my eyes just opened up
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, it's actually not that. It's more just a that's how I refill my creative cup so that I can deliver."
It's
And
our pace.
yeah, and so many different things.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, if I knew myself this well back when I started planning out my ideal client avatar, my business would have been so much smoother, so much faster, and so much more profitable too, because I'd know exactly what I should focus my time on. And actually,
Exactly.
I think that's a really interesting point. The profitability side of things. Can we go more into that on like how
Yeah.
human design? Because I know that's what people are going to be like. Yeah, I get it. I want to work to my strengths, but I don't want to lose any money and I'm scared. That scarcity, that fear factor comes in. Like if I
Yeah.
change and I
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
against the grain, what if it all disappears?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So first and foremost, yes, you're gonna go through an interesting transitional period. I am a projector as well.
Mhm.
And shifting from so for those of you who don't know, there are 5 types within human design. Each type has its own strategy. Funny thing is, well, funny thing is 90% of us are designed to wait. And
Mm.
that as an entrepreneur is like, "I'm sorry, what now?" Because we're not taught to wait, right? We are taught, as I said earlier, to initiate, 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 to follow through, follow and that's what I did. I spent hours, respectfully stalking people and going for the ask and finding these opportunities. And though, again, on paper, it sounds great that I spoke over 200 times in 2.5, 3 years. However, if I really looked at the complete ROI, the mental, emotional, and profitable ROI, mm-mm. Like the math doesn't math, right? And so with that said, when you connect to your human design and you understand your personal pace, some have a faster pace than others. There is going to be an element or a time where you just go, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure?" And you're gonna want to go back. I have too. I mean, I've been implementing this for 4 years. I still have moments where I go, "Ooh, am I sure?" And as soon as I go against it, it never turns out the way that I want it to, or doesn't work out at all. And it's the universal reminder going, yeah, Mel, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that you start seeing that less. So again, it instantly gives you that mental and emotional profitability that gives you that energy to continue to initiate the shift.
Okay.
It's when we get too caught up in the yeah, am I going to lose am I going to lose, money?
Mhm.
I don't know. Everybody's journey is different. I can't guarantee that this is going to make you 6 figures in 60 seconds, nor can I guarantee you're going to lose everybody and their mother because you're making this shift. But what
Mhm.
I do know is that you have already been implementing parts of your human design naturally. Again, I've never had a reading where somebody was like, "I'm sorry, what?" It
Mhm.
is we all work within our design. What we do is we go too far. And so by knowing those stopping points and starting points and strategies, it creates better boundaries for you. It helps you look at how can you automize. So if I'm a projector as well. So I know for me, because I know I have small amounts of energy, I have created a calendar link that I only give to people when they ask. And my calendar knows I only take 3 meetings a day, 2 days a
Mm.
week, and that's it. And a break in between, like a good hour break in between.
Yeah.
And I set that up for myself. So therefore, I already have that pace created for me. So there will be some guilt, feeling lazy, going from for me, going from manic busy to projector, profitable. I have some months of I should be doing something. I need to be doing something.
Mhm.
Yes, but what is it that I want to do? I'm not pulled to anything business. So I know that means I need to fill my cup up, to your point, another way. Is it to, go to my art, go to my writing, go to what have you? So it really helps you create a more well rounded day. So, therefore, yes, that scarcity fear can creep up, but you already have so much information to fill your day up with so much more profitable things that all of a sudden everything just feels like it's making you money because you are in that flow and in that state of of your own design inside of your own pace.
Yeah, you're so right. And when you're in that state of flow, that's honoring your type, your human
Yeah.
design.
Yeah.
Things are so much easier, aren't they? Like, sales are easier,
Yeah.
signing clients is easier, onboarding people is easier, meetings are easier, like, even just
Yeah.
collaborative projects as well. You're right. I've seen such a big difference, and, the friends that I have that have dabbled with human design before too, you see
Mhm.
that in them as well. Is like, I'll catch up with them and suddenly their face is like stress free and they're calmer because they've
Yeah.
validated who they are and they've realized that all
Yeah.
the things they thought that, oh, I'm just not good at this. No, actually, it just went against your human design. This
Yeah.
is over here. Once they started knowing these were options, they were like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes a really big difference. And I think what I love most is when you talk about mentally, physically, and emotionally. No, mentally, financially, and emotionally all
Yeah.
together. That honestly feels like something I should have known, but I didn't know. That makes
Yeah.
total sense now that you've said it because I talk a lot about balance. My clients talk a lot about wanting more freedom. But you're right,
Mhm.
it's those three factors. There's always a push and pull that you feel like you're sacrificing one of them. But those three factors, they are achievable, but it's tuning into you. That's the key factor, it feels like, right?
Exactly, and again, we're not taught to go internal, we're taught to go external. We're taught to
Mm.
find the expert, find the formula, find the system,
Copy what they're
instead
doing
of
because that's working now.
exactly,
Yeah.
because it worked for them. And then I'm sure we all have experienced this. We do that, it doesn't work, and instead of saying, "What's wrong with the advice?" we go, "What's wrong with us?"
Mhm.
And that's not the point. The point is because it wasn't meant for us. So, how can you take those bits of information, look at your human design, know what you know to be true, and have trust and validation inside of that knowledge and apply it to go, oh, that's why. Or as soon as somebody says something, you save so much energy and so much frazzleness because you already know. You already know what it feels like in your body. You already know the best ways for you to make your decisions. And therefore, it just creates that trust in yourself. And that's not something that somebody can teach you. It's something that you need to spend time exploring yourself. And that's where I think human design really separates itself from a lot of the traditional, even personal development books. I
Yeah.
love personal development, absolutely. But it's always somebody else's story with no follow up. So it's
Yeah.
just, yay, I'm not alone. Now what? Or
Yeah.
it's all about the action steps, but there's no inspiration.
Mhm.
With human design, you can, because you know yourself first and you're coming from yourself out, you can walk into a space already having that trust, already having that confidence, and instantly see and know if this is the right space, if these are the right people, if this is the right whatever, as well as if it's not perfect, ooh, I gleaned this. Or again, if you walk in and go, nopey nope, then you can just walk right out of there and have no guilt about it because you trust yourself because you now know yourself completely.
Yeah, I love that. I remember reading, I think it was the 4-hour work week like 12 years ago. And I remember thinking, well, I can't get up at 5 a.m. and go for a walk. And, like I've got kids to take care of. And I don't like getting up that early and like all those things. So
Yeah.
I'm spending years trying to be like, okay, well, whose morning routine do I fit into? And I was coming at it from the wrong
Mhm.
angle. So how can I take the
Yeah.
best of what I hear? How can I take the stuff that resonates with me and just trust my intuition and go, that feels good? And build my own version of how I balance my
Yeah.
workday. Yeah. It sounds so
Because
easy once I
you
know.
well, yeah, and it is that, like, universal face palm, like, right?
Yeah.
Of just like, duh." But I
Mhm.
always say you are the singular most important person in your life and in your business, and you need to prioritize correctly with that, as well as, again, you have full say on how you spend the time that you have. So with all of those points, this is your business, this is your, your say, all of those things. Why not have that even deeper confidence in it? Because it is easy to get swayed. It is easy to get lost in the conversation or get caught up in the noise.
Mhm.
We all do it. Again, we're human. And having human design for me has been that grounding tool of just no, this is foundational. It never changes. Unlike a lot of the, quote unquote personality tests that a lot of that can just come from who you are now, the training, the trauma, so on and so forth. Human
Mm.
design is underneath. I always picture it as like an iceberg, right? The top is
Mhm.
Enneagram and SWOT and Myers Briggs, which are all beautiful, not knocking them. They give you great information. But how those have come about and where they came from, that's underneath, which is human design. That's the underneath the iceberg. And so
Yeah.
when you know that, you know the why behind your how,
Mhm.
then it gives you just so much more permission and vibrato to just be like, no, this is what I know. This is how I can advocate for myself, as well as this is how I can just tune out what I need to tune out and create more profitable spaces for me, whether that's your social media, your networking, your colleagues, and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. All right, then if I ask you then, I hope you don't mind me asking, but so your
Yeah.
business before you got involved with human design, your business was fitness related and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. If you could look back on how you were running your business before, and then you could look at, okay, how you would run that business now, knowing what you know about human design and your particular human
Mm-hmm.
design, what would your
Mm-hmm.
business look like now in that industry?
Oh, so that's a really interesting question because I when I was in the fitness industry, it was purely for me. And so I hadn't lost my way, well, like, so to speak, because I was just running my fitness business. It was just me. I wasn't, worried about networking or anything along those lines. It's when I moved into the business coaching world is
Mm.
where people really started inundating me with, you need this, you need to talk to this person, you need to hire that. And because of I didn't know myself, didn't trust myself due to a lot of things, insecurity, so on and so forth, I just went, "Okay."
Mm.
And it was that began the process of me never really connecting to myself, continuing to mask who I am, how I identify, how I present myself because I needed to match this title or I needed to match my mentor's
Mm.
ethos. And again, on paper, it worked. And then when I went to the spiritual retreat in 2020 where I saw where human design found me, it was this lightning bolt moment of I have not been investing in myself. I've only been investing in others, masking that as investing for myself because that's what we're taught. You got
Yeah.
to, invest, invest, invest. That's how you prove that you're serious.
Yeah.
And the thing is yes, but what are you investing in? Who are you investing in and why? And if
Mm.
that who isn't yourself, really yourself, yes, you could subtitle it as yourself by hiring a mentor, but what's what are they expanding that you already know to be true about yourself? And I bet a lot of people can't answer that question. It's just, well, I want to make money. I want this to be successful.
Yeah.
It's more than that. You are more than just a milestone. You are more than just a success story. You are an amazing individual who has everything inside of them to answer the call of your soul. It's just finding it. And that's what human design does. So I wouldn't have made any different decisions, but definitely coming into the business coaching world, I if human design found me before I entered that world, I definitely would have hired different people or not have hired people, right
Right.
away. I would have really honored the resources and the knowledge that I already had but didn't trust, and then progress to, who is this actual expert that works well with me, that resonates with me, that understands my process, my slower pace as a projector, and so on and so forth. So I don't think my journey would have been any less wonky because we're humans and I'm in the United States. So, things get wonky.
Yeah.
I just think I would have had a lot more confidence in myself and therefore would have discovered things about myself and been more comfortable about things about myself a lot sooner, which just would have created more of a grounded authenticity. I've always been authentic, but there's always been that mask because I was just trying to present as something because my mentor told me that is how we present.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think it is one of those things of to your point, man, I wish I would have known that because that would have saved me a lot of money. And I made those choices. I made the best decisions I could with the information that I had at the time. I have new information and therefore I'm making more profitable decisions.
That's such a nice way to look at it too, because that guilt factor can niggle at you otherwise, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that we've done anything wrong, it's that things change over time with the knowledge and experience you gain as a
Mhm.
person. I think for me, if I had have known what I know about myself 10 years ago when I first started, well, 12 years ago, I think now, when I first started building my business, I probably wouldn't have jumped from one strategy to another so quickly because,
Mm,
I was in that absorb information. Oh, this person's doing this and says they're getting great results. I've got to do
yeah,
that. Oh, but this person's doing this. I've got to do that. Now I've got six different things I've got to do. And I would stick with something for like a month and then get
yeah,
distracted by the next shiny object, and none of them really felt like they fit. And over time, I
mhm,
guess I subconsciously kind of built my own practices that did feel better. But I just
yeah,
thought that was I just thought I was a lazy entrepreneur that didn't want to
yeah,
work very hard. So I was choosing shortcuts and hacks, but actually shortcuts and hacks doesn't do justice now to the processes and the systems and the automations I've got in my business and the way that I consult with
yeah,
people. Now I look at it with that human design knowledge, I look at it and go, actually, no, it's created a Marissa version of business, which is working really, really well. So that feels better. But yeah, I would have saved a ton of time and effort, not jumping around.
yeah. But again, we don't know what we don't know, and especially when we are in those early years of business,
Mhm.
we wanna prove ourselves, especially
Yeah.
for those of us who, identify as a woman or assigned female at birth. We wanna prove that we can do this and do it, quote, unquote, "all." And I always talked about even before I found or human design found me, I would talk a lot about, profitability from coming from a place of what do I want and then managing your time and energy. So time, I always like to say both of them
Yeah.
according to what you want. And that in and of itself already shifts a lot of things because if you switch your perspective of this is on my to-do list, for those of you who are listening and don't are unsure about human design, I would give you this suggestion of, okay, so how about you just check in on yourself and master your day as you feel in that moment? And what I mean by that is instead of waking up and going, oh, I've got this meeting, this meeting, this meeting, I have this, do this, do this, do, I'm tired, I'm like, this, that, the other, check in yourself, go, how am I feeling? I'm
Yeah.
feeling lower energy. What do I want? I want to feel like I've accomplished something. Okay. So what on your to-do list matches the energy that you have? If you can't step into a space profitably, especially energetically, it's
Mhm.
okay to reschedule. Or you could talk yourself and be like, okay, I have this one meeting I know I can't cancel. So I'm just going to protect everything I can to be in this meeting. And then it's low energy stuff all day. I think
Mm.
we get so caught up in it has to be an ABCD process, right? Step one, step two, step three.
Yeah.
And because we wrote a to do list, we have to do it in that
I know,
order.
like whether we work for our to do
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
Instead of just making it as, okay, it's a list. This is how I'm feeling. What on my list matches? not only the energy that I have, but the time that I have today. Let's slot those in. Let's move the other ones back onto the list. So when I have higher energy, I can put those in. And then the other little things are done. And even by just eliminating those little things, we already free up so much energy. So it's not about a balance. When I think of balance, I think of somebody running back and forth, trying to keep the scale,
Mm.
woo, as I like hit my microphone, trying to keep the scale even. It's a blend. You
Yeah.
have a jar. I always pictured it as a jar of rocks is your business, jar of sand is fun, and you have an empty jar in the middle. Every day is a new empty jar.
Mm.
Every day that jar is going to get filled, either in a different combination. Could be all sand, all fun, could be all rocks, all work. And that's not sustainable, right? Not, you can't build anything on that. But if you blend it as it builds on top of each other, all of a sudden you have a really strong foundation. So
Yes.
it's understanding that not all day is a good day. And not every day you're going to wake up with a bunch of energy and get everything done. So, how can you honor how you feel, knowing what you want? Human design takes that even deeper because it just shows you more practices and processes that you can have throughout the day to honor that, as well as continue to move through what you're moving through and being profitable again, mentally, emotionally, and financially.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that I do now that I didn't do before was if I've got a task coming up that I'm not excited about because maybe my energy's low or I've had a lot going on or I've accidentally put too much on
Mhm.
my plate or it's just something that I don't work in flow for, like, there are some tasks that I do in my business where I'm like, I shouldn't, they're not me. I shouldn't be doing them. I should be outsourcing them. But then I'll,
Yeah.
I'll think to myself, okay, well, if I have to do this thing right now, how can I make it feel better? Like, is that
Mhm.
sitting in a cozy space, putting a candle on and
Yeah.
little things. It seems silly when I
It is
say it out
little.
loud, but
No.
it changes the way I feel. And then
Yeah.
and then I tell myself, just do 10 minutes, just see how much you get done in 10 minutes, set an alarm. And if you're fine, if it's flowing from there, keep going. And if not, hey, you've done 10 minutes and you got a lot done in that time. And I'm really
Yeah.
surprised at the difference that makes. Or, how some days you feel like I just want to cocoon myself at home and work from there. And other days you're like, no, I want to go out there and talk to people or work in a cafe or go to an event. Like those things change for me
Yeah.
depending on what's going on and how much rest I need.
Yep.
And actually tuning into that rather than working from my calendar and working for my to-do list. You're right. It's not like I'm not an emergency room doctor. No one's going to die if I don't
Yeah.
get everything done. Even emergency room
Yeah.
doctors, they have days off. They don't have to be
Yeah,
on
they legally
24/7.
can't work more than an X amount of hours throughout the week or be available more than X amount of hours. Yeah, and it is that.
Exactly.
It's like it's you mentioned this earlier, the scarcity, and I think the other one that kind of damages us is the fear of missing out. Well, if I don't respond right away, they're gonna find somebody else. If they found somebody else and they're just shopping, they weren't meant for you anyway. And it so
Yeah.
goes back to that trust, right? Of if you it's your business, so you set the expectation. I had a client who talked about how all she felt like was she was just putting out fires, putting out fires, putting out fires, putting out fires. And I was like, well, if we look at how you respond to this, you have created because she had a company with employees. You've unknowingly made yourself like the only person that people can go to because that you yes, you wanna be helpful, but your help is enabling them.
Yeah.
And so by having that expectation of if an employee emails you or a client emails you and you email them right back, that is an expectation that you have now set.
Yeah.
If you already know your policy, you don't even have to state it. You don't have to tell clients, "I only respond 24, 48 hours." If you don't want to. If you want to, great. But you will set that by just being the example. So
Yeah.
having that trust in your energetic boundaries, then all of a sudden it's not about, "Oh my god, am I missing out? Oh, is this?" It's, "No, if this is meant for me, they will be there." And if if I dropped the ball on something, then it's looking at then, okay, so how maybe you gone too far into your design? Because I think that can happen as well. Human design has become very what I call Instagrammable. And so people will take one nugget and they'll just base everything off of that one nugget.
Oh, yeah.
Human design is the ultimate onion of personal development. There are so many layers. In fact, the person who brought human design forward says it takes an average of 7 years for you to fully incorporate your design. So this isn't meant to be a soundbite repeat, we're good to go. It is, oh, that is one piece of a very unique chart because nobody else has the same chart
Mhm.
that will really help you personalize your business development, your personal development, as well as your processes, your strengths, and your strategies. And that is where the pure profitability comes from is trusting your uniqueness. We talk about, people buy you for you, and that
Mhm.
will always remain true. So run your business like you. Like honor
Mhm.
that for yourself as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm already thinking like the people out there who think they're people pleasers and they have to respond and you're getting a text message from a client at 7 p.m. on a Sunday and you start to resent the client, but then you realize no, they're texting me because I replied to them at 7 p.m. last time they did it. Like
Yeah.
those little aha moments where you kind of go,
Yeah.
"Hmm." And then there are other people who are like, yeah, I'll work whenever I want to. It doesn't affect me at all. But other things will get in their way and they won't like
Yeah.
structure and they want, like you're right, there's no right or wrong, and I think that's really that's what I love about the world now. Like, every year that
Mhm.
progresses, we still haven't come far enough, but we get a little more accepting and
Yeah.
inclusive of people not being the same as each other. Nobody
Mhm.
works the same way. Everyone has a different life experience. People learn and grow based on the things that they go through and the environment they're in, and when that changes, they
Mhm.
change as a person. Like, all those things, I feel like
Yeah.
human design is a really nice gateway into that to go, here's this person, just like you said with the layers. Layers is such a good way to describe it. There's so much going on in
Mhm.
here. And if we don't know all of that about ourselves yet, how can we expect the rest of the world to work that way? It's really got to come down to us knowing
Yeah.
exactly those details and building our own ecosystem to reflect that.
Yeah. Because then we can advocate for ourselves. It's not so much about, some of my clients are now getting kind of addicted and they want to know everybody's human
Yeah.
design and they kind of, they want to use it for people that they hire. So they just know how to communicate because, different types and different people communicate differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I use it in parenting. I know my partner is like, it is really beautiful insight into somebody, but to use it for yourself personally, it helps you advocate for yourself because again, you know the why behind your how. So
Yeah.
I know that I have small amounts of energy unless I'm around other people, especially two other types in human design. One's called a generator and one's called a manifesting generator. Those are the pure energy, like, oh, every time I'm around one, I feel like I could fly. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I
Same.
just have so much energy. But as soon as they leave my peripheral, I slump.
Yeah.
And so I now know to watch myself of the things I promise when I'm with them, the things I say yes to when I'm with them, because I get influenced by their energy. And before I knew human design, I thought I was wishy-washy. I thought I was being a
Mhm.
bad person, a bad friend, a bad colleague, because I would say yes to all this and then either not follow through with it or take a minute to think about it because my authority is what's called an emotional authority, which means I have to sleep on all decisions
Yeah.
and I'd get more information and go, "Ooh, that's no, I don't wanna do that at all," but then still do it because I felt guilty.
Yeah, and you
Or
don't want people
again
mad at you and yeah.
yeah, and then it creates that cycle all over again.
Mhm.
So, human design is such it's I don't like to call it a cycle breaker, it's a new cycle starter. It's
Yeah.
just, "Oh, no, I this is where I went too far." Okay, and because when you do know that about self, again, you can advocate for yourself better. You are because you are more confident in what you know to be true, and therefore that self-trust that can waver so quickly due to social media, due to all the things that we are so inundated as humans, as entrepreneurs, to know how to move through that and to realign yourself and go, no, I know this to be true. That's great for them. And
Mhm.
so on and so forth. So, again, it is that recalibration that is always there for us that we will always need. And it is always for us, not from others
Yeah, and we can go back to it anytime and know
all the
more about
time.
it anytime we want to, and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mel, I'm so glad you came on the show because this has been such a great chat. And I feel like people listening, whether they've heard of human design before or not, I think it's been
Mhm.
such an eye opener in terms of how much you can actually do with it. Because I know a lot of people, they come across like personality tests and they're like, oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
But now I have to go back to work. I'm really busy, right? But this
Yeah.
kind of changes your whole outlook on how you work. And I think that's why it's so important
Mhm.
that we talk about it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved being here.
Oh, I think it's been an amazing chat. And I know people are going to want to hear more too. So, what's the best way that they can find you online? I know you've got a virtual coffee chat, if we
I
can.
do. So I always love to spend time with people because there are so many human design practitioners, and I might not be the right one. So I always love to spend time with people before we agree to anything with each other. So I offer 30-minute complimentary virtual coffees, no pressure, no sales, safe open space for you to ask me questions and for us to see if I am the right person to support you, and if so, how. And you can book those through this website, virtualcoffeewithmel.com.
Yep.
If you wanna kinda get to know me a little bit, on the side and respectfully stalk me, you are more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, Mel McSherry, or follow me on Instagram at Mel_McSherry, or feel free to check out my website, melmcsherry.com.
Lovely. I'll make sure I put all those links in the show notes too. So, guys, it'll be really easy to just click through to the channel that you want to use. I think that's such a good idea. Coffee chat's a great idea because everybody can kind of come to the table with, all right, here's what I'm wondering. Where do we go from
Yeah.
here?
I
Yeah.
know expectations, and they can ask me questions because I want you to be excited and confident and comfortable in exploring this, whether that's with me or somebody else. And the last thing I would ever want for somebody to work with me and show up and go, "Oh, this," and or feel stressed or feel pressured in any which way
Yeah.
or form. So I think virtual coffees are just such a great first date.
That's why I find you so appealing because it's not a pressure thing. It's just a look, this is
Yeah.
a really interesting thing. Let's find out your version of it and look at how it's going to change your
Yeah.
life for the better. Like, I just love it. I love your perspective on it and your positive outlook on it and the way that it doesn't become another to do on the list. It's
Mhm.
just something beautiful that actually helps
Yeah,
helps with that
yeah.
overload. Yeah, exactly. So yes, that's wonderful. All right, I'll leave all the links in the show notes below. Guys, go and check out Mel's resources and socials and have a look and have a chat and get in touch and let me know as well how you go with it. Like, I could chat human design all day now and I'm only new to it. So the more I learn about it, the better. So make sure you get in touch with us. Let us know, how this affects you, the impact it's had on you having this conversation, what else you'd like to know about it. We would love to hear from you. And I will see you all in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.